Thank you. Kathy and I are honored to be here today and want to thank you for this opportunity. Just a real quick little thing about me. Started out as a lawyer. Don't hold that against me. Did that for about 10 years. My family's been in the real estate business for a couple generations. I'm a second generation real estate developer, and I took over Madison Realty Group about 25 years ago to do a lot of real estate development. And a batch of years ago, I decided what I really wanted to do when I grew up was to be a leadership development coach. And so I've transformed myself into a coach and have had a lot of fun with that in the last few years. Maybe just a quick introduction here for Kathy, and then maybe we'll do some quick introductions around the room.
Sounds good. All right. My name is Kathy Carroll. I am really thrilled to be here today, so thank you for having me. My brief background, when I got out of undergrad, I went corporate. I actually grew up in a family business, but there was a lot of drama in my family when I was a grandchild. So I went corporate for 20 years until my father sucked me back into the family business space. And I led my father's business for 3 years, and that ended up being a goat rodeo in and of itself. And I ended up leaving 3 years later, and I ended up getting into a coaching training program because I realized my mission is to help leaders in family businesses thrive. So I have a leadership coaching passion with a specific focus on family businesses.
What our goals for today are, we're going to talk about increased self-awareness and your natural style. So Kathy's going to give you a rundown in a second on the 6 styles that a person named Daniel Goleman, a person that us in the industry really think a lot of, sort of broke everybody's leadership style down into those 6. We're going to see which of those styles aligns with your core values and what you sort of default to. And then we're going to talk a little bit about what styles might conflict with your core values. And then we're going to talk about the limitations of each of those styles. And then we really think it's important that you be fluent with not just your dominant style, but all of the other styles, because a really great leader needs to be able to shift to whatever style is appropriate for the situation. It's really important, if you think about it in a macro sense, the organizational climate really dictates the organizational performance. And so it's how this leader shows up and how they are able to shift their style for the circumstances that really determines outcomes. Just as a quick show of hands, if I could, how many of you have people that report to you? Good number of the room. So, it doesn't matter what your title is. If you've got someone that reports to you, if you've got someone that follows you, you're a leader. And so it's very important that you know how to use these different leadership styles.
Thank you. Okay, so Daniel Goleman, who's heard the name Daniel Goleman? He's the one who coined the expression emotional intelligence. This was in the mid-90s. He did a study, and he uncovered 6 different leadership styles, and he analyzed their effectiveness. So what'll be interesting at the end of today, or at some point in the next week, I believe you'll be receiving an article that was written by Daniel Goleman that outlines in more detail these 6 styles: coercive, authoritative, affiliative, democratic, pace-setting, and coaching. And we're going to go through each one of them in specific detail, and we even get to watch movie clips, so that'll be really fun. A little bit more about Daniel Goleman. In the 90s, a group of researchers learned that people, they took people and they put them into 2 groups, people with average IQ and people with high IQs. And what they discovered is that the people with the high IQs outperformed the people with the average IQs 20% of the time. But what struck them was that the people with the average IQs outperformed the people with the high IQs 70% of the time. And suddenly they realized there was something other than IQ that was making a difference here. And that's when they uncovered emotional intelligence and the impact that emotional intelligence has in leadership effectiveness. So you have to be smart enough, but really what separates the best leaders is their ability to demonstrate emotional intelligence. And I know you've been exposed to EQ or EI. I'll just briefly review it. It's self-awareness, self-management, social awareness, relationship management. And if you want to learn more, bring us back. Okay, good. So back to Dave.
Great. So you were all emailed before this a self-assessment. Hopefully everybody did that. They brought the results with them today. And so here's the answer key. So if you can take a look at which style or styles was your highest response, that'll tell you what your natural style is. Now again, there's no grade to this. any one of these is fine as long as you become fluent in how to use the others. So I don't want you to get, the reason we didn't give you the answer key ahead of time is we didn't want you to get all upset or anxious that, oh my God, I'm Democratic and I probably should be more pace setting, or no. You know, all this is it's a natural style that you default to. You need to be aware of that. And what we're going to help you do is explore the other styles and learn a little bit about the other styles so that in the right situation, if you need to shift gears and becoming a little different style of leader, you're aware of that and you're able to do that. So we're going to do an exercise in a little bit. We're going to go through first each of the styles. We're going to do a video clip on each. We're going to tell you a little bit more about them. And then we're going to do an activity where we're going to have you go to the table that is your dominant style. So I unfortunately picked up coercive first. It's the one I enjoy the least. But we're going to put table tents out. We're going to have you go to whichever one was your dominant style. If for some reason you had a tie, you had two of them that you were dominant style, pick one. Like I said, there's no grade, there's no magic to which one you show up at. It's really just going to be a starting point for the discussion. The first style we're going to dive into here is coercive. We're going to play the video clips. I'll tell you a little bit about it. We'll keep moving on through it, and then we'll do the activity at the end. So cue up the clip.
I am Gunnery Sergeant Hartman, your senior drill instructor. From now on, you will speak only when spoken to. And the first and last words out of your filthy sewers will be, sir. Do you maggots understand that?
Sir, yes, sir.
Bullshit, I can't hear you. Sound off like you got a pair.
Sir, yes, sir.
If you ladies leave my island, if you survive recruit training, you will be a weapon. You will be a minister of death praying for war. But until that day, you are pukes. You're the lowest form of life.
So we cut that clip off before it got a little juicy. But you can sort of see, and you know, we tried to pick some fun clips. You know, sometimes they're not quite exactly right, but this one I think hits coercive right nail on the head. And one of the things that, you know, is the problem with coercive leaders, you know, it's do what I tell you. It demands immediate compliance. And there are actually times, though, where you want to use this. And I consider this really sort of the emergency room situation. Patient rolls into the emergency room. This is a time-critical situation. The first goal is to save the patient's life. This isn't the time to be talking to them about their lifestyle, right? Well, why did you eat all that fatty food? Now you're having a heart attack. No. First thing is to get the paddles on, get the heart going again. So, you know, you'll use coercive leadership in certain, mostly emergency type situations. The reason you don't want to use it all the time is, you know, quite frankly, it kills innovation. It's disrespectful, and people lose a sense of ownership for what they're working on. They don't feel accountable. It won't motivate them. And so you can see some of the risks here. Kathy, you want to jump into the next one?
Sure. All right, we're going to jump to authoritative next. Go ahead and cue tape.
And I've been dealt here. 7 players, that it?
6. I don't count.
Why is that?
I'm too short. I'm not no good. Still practice to be a body. Equipment management's my trade.
I thought everybody in Indiana played basketball.
Sir, most do, but not all go out for the team. We only got 64 boys in the whole school.
It's gonna be a lonely bench. Well, those of you who don't know, my name is Norman Dale. I coached college ball for 10 years, but it's been 12 years since I've blown this, so I'm gonna be learning from you just like you learned from me. I'm gonna be setting up practice a little bit differently than you used to, but as you'll find out, everything has its reasons. Basketball is a voluntary activity. It's not a requirement. Any of you feel you don't want to be on a team, feel free to leave right now. Did you hear what I said?
Me?
Yes, you.
Sure, I'm just curious to know when we start.
We start when I say so.
Okay, would you kind of let me know, because I'm kind of getting
All
tired
right,
of standing.
out of here, right now.
You kicking me out?
Yes, don't come back until you learn to keep your mouth shut and listen.
Break my heart. Come on, Whit, let's fly this chicken coop. Didn't you say you'd rather be down at Terhune anyway?
It's your funeral.
Let's move it, yes, sir. I ain't no gizzard. Have fun, Coach, trying to win with 5. Well, make that 4.5 players.
Okay, let's get those folding chairs. Line them up right here. About 10 feet apart.
All right. Who recognizes that movie? Hoosiers, great movie. Terrific. So what's the key line for authoritative leadership? It's come with me. Come this way. When is it really helpful? When you're trying to mobilize people towards a very specific vision. When do you use it? When the strategy isn't really clear, you're not quite sure where to go, you don't have alignment with all of your team on a goal, right? And when is it really not all that helpful? It's not that helpful when the team of people that you're leading has more experience and expertise in this than you do, right? Any questions on authoritative? Okay. And sorry about the volume on that one.
Great. So we're going to jump next into affiliative. If we could cue that one up.
Let's take this time to say whatever it is we want while the doors are closed. You have the floor. This is about us.
Man, this shit ain't about us. This is all about Coach Carter.
We're the basketball team. All I see is you on TV, getting famous, eating that shit up.
Is that all you see?
That's all I see.
You ain't lying.
Well, let me tell you what I see. I see a system that's designed for you to fail. Now, I know you all like stats, so let me give you some. Richmond High only graduates 50% of its students. And of those that do graduate, only 6% go to college. Which tells me when I walk down these halls and I look in your classrooms, maybe only one student is going to go to college. Well, damn, Coach Carter, if I ain't going to college, where am I gonna go? Now, that's a great question. And the answer for young African-American men in here is this: probably to prison. In this county, 33% of black males between 18 and 24 get arrested. So look at the guy on your left. Now look at the guy on your right. One of you is going to get arrested. Growing up here in Richmond, you're 80% more likely to go to prison than college. Those are the numbers. Those are some stats for your ass. Now I want you to go home and look at your lives tonight. Look at your parents' lives. And ask yourself, do I want better? If the answer is yes, I'll see you here tomorrow. And I promise you, I will do everything in my power to get you to college and to a better life.
So, affiliative, this is what I also sort of put in the same bucket as the come with me type approach. It's a relationship building approach. People come first. And it's usually done when morale is low and you end up giving a lot of praise. The praise is good. It's a lot of positive feedback. But one of the risks that you fall into with this approach is that by giving all the positive feedback, sometimes you don't really step up and give people proper instruction when they need negative feedback, and poor results sometimes can go uncorrected. It really tries to keep people happy, and you often will use this somewhat juggling it a little bit with the authoritative leadership style as well. So it's, sometimes you'll sort of dance between the two when you're using this one. But it's really to help set a vision and set a goal. So, next.
Thank you. All right, so democratic leadership is the next video. There is a really terrific TED Talk that we have seen, and you'll see a portion of it. this presenter talks about a variety of different leadership styles in the context of how a conductor conducts his orchestra. It's a really fascinating TED Talk, and we tried to actually line each one of these up with each different style. It wasn't a perfect fit, and it kind of got a little long, so we decided to just pick one of them. So this is going to be a subtle demonstration of democratic leadership, but see if you can pay attention. Hopefully the sound is high enough for you to hear. It's a fascinating one, I think. Thank you.
Von Karajan, please. What's different? Did you see the eyes? Closed. Did you see the hands? Did you see this kind of movement? Let me conduct you twice. Once like a muti, and you'll clap. Just once, and then like Karajan. Let's see what happens, okay? Like muti. Be ready? Because muti. Okay? Ready? Let's do it. And then. Good. Now like a Karajan. Since you're already trained, let me concentrate, close my eyes. Come, come. Why not together? Because you didn't know when to play. Now, I can tell you, even the Berlin Philharmonic don't know when to play. Yeah? But I'll tell you how they do it. No cynicism. This is a German orchestra, yes? They look at Karajan, and then they look at each other. Like... Do you understand what this guy wants? And after doing that, they really look at each other, and the first players of the orchestra lead the whole ensemble in playing together. And when Karajan is asked about it, he actually says, yes, the worst damage I can do to my orchestra is to give them a clear instruction, because that would prevent the ensemble, the listening to each other that's needed for an orchestra. Now that's great. What about the eyes? Why are the eyes closed? Yeah? There's a wonderful story about Karajan conducting in London, and he cues in a flute player like this. The guy has no idea what to do. So, Maestro, with all due respect, when should I start? What do you think Karajan's reply was? When should I start? Oh yeah, he says, you start when you can't stand it anymore.
I love that. It's such a great example. So what is the theme word or phrase of democratic leadership? What do you think? And I'm not asking the question rhetorically, that's really what it is. So when is this, what's the value of this? Well, you're forging consensus through participation, collaboration. You're getting everybody to work with each other, to collaborate, to make something happen. It's really effective when you're looking for fresh ideas and when you're trying to build consensus and get buy-in from the people that you're leading. And when does it cause problems? Well, who likes to be in endless meetings? When do we make decisions? Decisions just take way too long to take place, and employees get confused. Who's in charge around here? It can be really frustrating on occasion as well. Yeah? Questions? Okay.
Great. So jumping into pace setting, pace setting is really where the leader sets high performance standards and exemplifies them himself. And so let's maybe play this clip and then we'll talk about it for a second. So, there he's setting the example. He's moving fast. It's better, faster. But it's interesting, one of the things you find with pace-setting leader is something we heard a bunch as we were going around the room. It's micromanaging. Because it's sort of do it my way. Employees don't feel at liberty to innovate or to take initiative. They're seeing how the leader is doing it. He's moving fast, and he's expecting everybody to keep up with him and keep moving. So, this works well when you have highly competent employees who are motivated. They can jump on the bandwagon, keep going with you. But, most employees, the lion's share of them, will feel overwhelmed, and they'll resent the tendency that the leader will to take over in the situation. Maybe jumping into coaching?
All right. Last but not least, we have coaching leadership style. This is one of my favorite movie clips. I just think Sandra Bullock is hilarious. Go for it. Isn't that great? I love that one. Okay, so what's the key phrase here? Try this. Yeah. So, which technically is a little bit different from the coaching training that Sharon and Dave and I have gone through, but that's a separate conversation. What's the value of this? Well, it's really developmental, right? You're helping people develop into the best versions of themselves. When is it really useful? Well, when employers are ready for development, when they want to grow, when they have identified what their weaknesses, what their challenges are, and they're really eager for development. When is it risky to use? When they're really not open to it. If they're resistant to development and they're not interested in coaching, it's not going to be an effective style to use. Good. Okay, those are the 6. Any questions on anything so far? Okay, let's keep this thing going. All right, so here's an interesting thing. Daniel Goleman, when he did his research, he analyzed the effectiveness of all of these styles, so interesting how it came out, against these 6 criteria. And as we spoke earlier, and we talked about some of our leadership challenges and what are the things, leadership failures that we experienced, some of these things came up. I heard something about commitment and clarity. I heard something about standards. There were definitely some things that popped up. So what did the results show? Well, there are 2 styles that overall are actually problematic for leadership effectiveness. They actually undermine leadership effectiveness. Now, in certain areas, here they're a little bit better. Over in standards, coercive can be a little bit higher. But overall, the coercive and the pace-setting styles used exclusively are actually problematic. They don't actually help achieve results. Conversely, the authoritative and affiliative styles, they're very accretive to effective leadership. And again, this is sort of done in isolation. So when is this done you never want to use one exclusively. But if you're going to err on the side of any one of these are 2 good ones to try erring on. Cool? Excellent. Okay.
Great. So now we're going to have a little exercise here. We're going to get you to move around. We're going to put a table tent for each one of the styles on a table, and we'd like you to, I tell you what, I'll grab 3. You want to grab 3? Well, we'd like to get you to move around to whatever style the assessment said was your dominant style. And then when you're there, you'll see there's table topics. We'd like to have one person at each table take responsibility for just moderating a discussion. Go ahead and just self-select someone at your table. But you'll see the table topics, and bear with me 1 second, everyone, 1 second before you move. Hold on. So the table topics, we want you to talk about, when does this strength serve you well? Okay, when are you comfortable with it? When does it serve you well? What are the limitations that you've seen in and whatever, and there's one other question on there as well, but and then what are the risks of using that? We're going to have you do that for about 10-15 minutes, have a discussion. We're going to then bring you back to your original seats, or you can stay where you're at.
All right, nicely done, everybody. Congratulations. Thank you so much for letting us be here, and thank you again to Sharon for inviting us. Such a pleasure.
Thank you very much, everyone.